Sometimes every one of us has a tendency to make things more difficult. I don't know why. Life could be difficult as it is. Why add more to the mix? Let's talk about this back in a minute. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode of my channel, Save Money More with Jan channel. How you doing today? Let's talk about why do we tend to make things more difficult. We could at least narrow it down to this, especially with menu planning, meal planning. When I say meal planning, it sounds so big and broad, right? But when I say menu planning, it sort of shrinks it up a little bit. So let's think of the shrunk up a little bit. Let's talk today about low cost and fast meal ideas for lunch and dinner. That's the twist here. Sometimes we complicate things and overtly complicate things by thinking, well, lunch has to be a certain way, dinner has to be a certain way. Not necessarily true. We all do not live cookie cutter lives. And let's include breakfast here in the mix because a lot of times the things that we eat for breakfast are kind of limited to, let's say, just eggs or cereal or whatever. There are times some people wake up voraciously hungry and they're totally okay with taking a hunk out of the roast beef they had for dinner last night and maybe eating that for their breakfast. Is there something wrong with that? Absolutely not. The idea of breakfast, for example, is breaking the fast. That's why the word henceforth breakfast, to break the fast. Because usually, for example, people's last meal of the day usually would say be about 6 o'clock at dinner. I'm just using this as an example. And there's a long period of time without any food. Let's say from eating at 6 p.m. and then maybe some people wake up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. So they went many, many hours of not eating. So breakfast too. Every single meal should be able to interchange with each other. Just saying, oh, I can only eat cereal, for example, at breakfast is not fair. Let's think about the summer. Before you know it, it'll be spring, and then we have the really hot days of the summer. I could tell you this much: I never have a problem craving a cold bowl of cereal, for example, instead of a hot dinner at summertime. How many of you out there have ever had a cold bowl of cereal with a piece of fruit for dinner in the summer? Sure, many people have done that. Does that mean we did something wrong? No. Maybe we did something that we don't commonly do, but that doesn't make it wrong. But let's talk about some meal ideas, some recipe ideas to be specific that are low cost and they're really quick and they can be used interchangeably, especially in terms of lunch and dinner. So, for example, soup and a sandwich doesn't have to be, a complicated thing. It could be your own homemade, just heat up a cup of your own homemade soup or purchase one of those cup of soup type thing and maybe have a half of your favorite sandwich or a whole sandwich, depending. Maybe you just want the soup. Maybe soup with a piece of toast for lunch, for example. Or maybe at dinner time, you want a bigger bowl of soup and let's say, maybe a full sandwich and maybe an apple. Very, very filling. Uncomplicated. It's just the idea. Excuse me, please. That's one idea. Uh, Very, very simple for lunch or dinner. You can make English muffin pizza. You don't even have to prepare your own dough for that. That's real simple, and you know how to do that. So let's say at lunch you just want the pizza, and that's it. Fine. Let's say for dinner, maybe you want a little more. You could have the pizza, your homemade pizza there, the English muffin, and let's say a salad and a piece of fruit at the end, making it larger. Again, both meals are interchangeable. It could be either way. It's uncomplicated. This also makes your grocery shopping to plan for these simple meal ideas really, really better. Let's say here's another very simple meal idea you can use interchangeably for lunch or for dinner. like an appetizer kind of a platter. Sort of like the little appetizer snick snack platters you make for New Year's Eve, many people, right before the ball drop. You see where I'm going with that? Have a little fun with that. You could do that with leftover stuff that needs to be used up in your refrigerator. Hey, that's a perfect idea for right before you decide to clean the refrigerator. Am I right or am I right? So make up an appetizer platter, make it look fun, have a little fun with that. That can be had at lunch or dinner. So you see where I'm going with that. Some ideas with that, like stuffed cream cheese. Some people rather have cream cheese in celery, or some people prefer peanut butter like that, or peanut butter on top of apples, or cheese and crackers. Make it easy. Put it on a pretty platter. Can be just taken right out of the fridge, sit down, have it for either meal, or for even both meals that day if you want. Very uncomplicated, very inexpensive. What I like to do on occasion, I'll probably make it this weekend for myself because I love it. Angel hair pasta, okay, with a light tomato sauce. I just simply use a little bit of the canned sauce. It doesn't require a lot of sauce. I like to just spot it on like the little spots. I don't like a ton of sauce on my pasta. Everybody's different, but this is the way I like it. Angel hair pasta with light tomato sauce and mushrooms. It could be either the fresh ones that you saute very quickly, or you could just break open a can of mushrooms, drain it, and add it to your light marinara pasta sauce, or whatever kind of sauce you want to put on, let's say angel hair pasta. Perfect lunch. Why? Perfect dinner. Why? Because angel hair cooks up really, really quickly. Everything I mention is low cost. Everything I mention is economical and very, very fast and a time saver. I think you can't get better than that, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't really quite understand why we tend to complicate matters. Okay, now everything I mentioned is cheap. Let's go over the list, for example. The soup and salad. I mean, well, soup and salad you could do too. It could be either for lunch or for dinner. You can make your own soup and generate a whole pot of it for all week long, like a pot of vegetable soup. That takes a longer time to go bad than something that contains a meat protein in it, for example. And it's a lot less expensive too. I'm just saying, That's just an idea. Hang on to having some toast with that, or like I said, or just a sandwich, like maybe even a half a sandwich if you don't want to go too far with it. The English muffins, you could get the store brand of the English muffins. And if the other one that you love, and I know I do love the brand one, the one that everybody knows about for years and years. And in that case, sometimes I'd rather go for that one. Sometimes it all depends on my budget for that week and where I could go with that. I'm mindful. The canned mushrooms, you could get the store brand for like $1. I think that's worth it if you're very, very busy. You don't want to slice and dice at that moment. But if you do want to slice and dice and you could get the fresh mushrooms, use them up, clean them up, and so good to go with your marinara sauce. And working with those little cans. Remember I said, as far as like stockpiling, those little small cans of tomato sauce, and going back to the little small cans of mushroom, you could get the one that's chopped into the stems with the stems in it. They're much less expensive. So look it up and check out the difference in the prices. And of course, celery is not expensive at all. It's a root vegetable. You could get store brand peanut butter and save a bunch of money on that. And the same holds true for cream cheese. And you could like really jazz up your cream cheese for so many ways. Get the plain one, whipped one that you like. You could add your own fixings in there. You could put your own scallions or onion powder, garlic powder, flavor it up the way you like. Make it look a little more fancier with some chopped celery. You could get that. Chopped parsley. Celery works with celery, doesn't it? I definitely need another 25-cent cup of coffee. Haven't had one for a little while. I definitely could use a cup. But anyway, it doesn't have to cost a ton of money. And that sliced pepperoni that you could get the little bag of, that works great for any pizza. And the English muffin version is really, really fast and easy for a simple lunch or dinner. Meal planning, menu planning does not have to cost a lot, but stockpile planning takes a little bit of time to figure out. That's why it's important to figure out stuff that your family actually wants to eat. Have an amazing day, everybody. I really hope that this video helps someone. And as usual, I forget to ask people to do the following, but I'm going to ask you right now. Hang on. Really appreciate everybody's time. Don't forget to click like, very important, share, very important, and subscribe. Have an amazing day. Have a wonderful upcoming weekend. Take good care of yourself and your amazing family. And don't forget to do what this lady does.